and welcome to Shifting the MS Mindset, the podcast. Join your host, Kathleen Loren, along with special guests. It's time to take back our power and ownership of our bodies, our mindset, our life. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Hello and welcome, family. Welcome back. So today we've got our discussion around multiple sclerosis. So we've got Jenn, and then 3 minutes later, Tom is going to make his entrance. But what I would say to you is please stick to the end, because we've got a card reading. And remember, tomorrow, the 7th of May, is the new moon. So we're in the cycle of the new moon. Yes? So everything that's new, that's the planting the seeds. It's the planting the seeds for you to manifest what is good for you. And we've just came out of the whole retrograde. So that ended a little while ago. So let's get into it, people. Let's go. Let's go.
My name is Jenn Smith-Stockdale. I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in 2020. Was diagnosed when I was staying at a Bible ministry center with my children in upstate New York. It's funny and not funny because I have always been kind of clumsy. So falling for me was nothing out of the ordinary. But I had a few falls that weren't typical for me. And at the time I was staying in a 4-story home. So a bunch of stairs to walk up and down every day. There was no elevator. And fell down some of those stairs one day, was having issues with my blood pressures, and my vision was off. I just felt like something wasn't right. I had let those I was living with, it was women of faith who lived in that ministry center, let them know that I didn't feel okay, that I probably needed to see a doctor. And I was sitting in church one day with my kids, with everyone from the ministry center. Yeah. And out of the blue, the sermon finished up and I threw up in the middle of church. And so I can laugh at that now, but at the time that it happened, it was humiliating and awful. My kids were scared. I didn't know what was going on. And I knew that I needed to be seen sooner than later. So ended up going to the local doctor. She tested me for different things in her office, and then she recommended that I go to the hospital.
Right.
So I went to the hospital. They did an MRI. They saw lesions and they suspected that it was MS, which that hit me out of the blue. I never saw that in my...
Yeah. You never saw that coming.
No, never. Of all the things that I could have pictured being wrong, that was not ever one of them. I was a nurse 11, 12 years ago, did nursing for 9 years, and had seen plenty of illnesses over the course.
So you knew, you was aware of what multiple sclerosis was then?
I was aware of it, but I really didn't know
about it.
Right. No one in my family has ever had it. There's a lot of neurological conditions in my family, but I've never had genetic testing or anything. My issues had always been with my heart.
Right.
So I expected there to be something with my heart, especially because I knew my blood pressure was off, and I'm guessing that's what caused me to get sick that day in church. Still, I can't blame any of my symptoms on any one illness because I have so many things going on.
Right.
But the way things happened to get me to the hospital and to get that diagnosis was what it was. But there was the falls and the vision changes. And so they did the MRI of my brain. They saw the lesions, and he ordered the spinal tap. I did not at all expect what that was going to be. I've had an epidural before, so
yes.
I wasn't too scared, but the spinal tap is where they take the cerebrospinal fluid.
Yeah, I've had it done. Yeah.
They look for whatever they look for in there. I don't know off the top of my head. But that confirmed the diagnosis of MS.
Yeah.
I know we talked the other day about the stages of grief.
Grief, yes.
I have done the denial thing for so long.
Yeah.
To the point that like I started to consider that my doctors were wrong, that they're missing what it actually is.
Right.
And then in that initial phase of denial, I did end up going to the hospital I was having something going on with my heart. My chest was hurting. But I didn't want to just be shushed and given medication and shoved out the door. So because of my nursing experience and my experience in healthcare, I knew to stand my ground and advocate for myself.
Yeah.
So when I came in to the ER, and that was here in Orlando, they thought I was having an anxiety attack. And I said, this is not an anxiety attack. And the doctor said, well, you're stressed. You got this going on. You got that going on. I said, do you have anxiety? Do you panic? Like everybody has anxiety. This is not that.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew from being an ER nurse, I knew what tests needed to be ordered.
Yeah.
And so I said, this is what needs to be done. I'm here. I'm a paying patient. I have insurance. I had my trusty pen and paper notepad with me.
That's right.
And I was taking notes. And once they saw that I was taking notes and that I was pissed, they started acting differently. I wasn't being a know-it-all. I wasn't being mean. I was just being very direct. So that ER visit ended up with a diagnosis. They did the echocardiogram.
Yes. ECG. That's right. Yeah.
So they did the echocardiogram, and I got the diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
Oh, wow. And what does that mean in short?
It means that part of my heart is enlarged, and it's not supposed to be. It's pumping too hard, and it's causing the muscle in the heart to get thicker. Right. And so that results in other symptoms. My blood pressure, even now, my blood pressure will run in the 200s over 150s. And the shock factor for when someone sees me in a doctor's office or out in the field, when they see my pressure that high and they're like, oh my God, we got to get you to the hospital. I'm like, nope, I'm good. This is normal for me.
Okay, right.
So.
Right. Wow. That's a lot to deal with. So now that you've been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis since 2020, you said, isn't it?
Yes.
How have you managed to maneuver your daily life, your daily living with multiple sclerosis then?
I have come to the realization, like I said, I lost my job back in March. I was doing too much. As the job that I had before, it was a lot of driving, a lot of lifting, a lot of things that I just should not have been doing.
Right.
I know on a daily basis that I have to move around. I have to get some kind of stretching and exercises in. I, again, with the denial thing, like I do have a cane now. It's sitting right over there. Daily, I am not someone, I can't sit still no matter what I'm doing. Like there's times when I know I have to lay down, even if I don't sleep, because I don't sleep. I've never slept well, but with this diagnosis, it's more so. I do take medication for sleep, and it's still, I'll wake up at 3 o'clock. Yeah. Never fails. I'm up at 3 a.m. I know that I can't sit still. And even if it's just stretches that I do, I have to stretch. I have to stay active in that sense. And then I try to walk daily in my neighborhood.
Right.
That some days goes well, some days it does not. I have the cane that's sitting there staring at me, and I'm to a point where I realize if I need to use it, I will. But as long as I can walk, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Unassisted, and then if I need to use it, I will.
Yeah. I like that, and I liked when you said that to me as well. You know, that you kind of like don't want to get in touch with your assisted devices as much, and it will help you, but I'm on the bravado that the less that you use these kind of things, hence me in the wheelchair, the less you use or rely on them things, the more you're going to fight to stave them kind of assisted devices off.
Right.
So,
makes sense.
Yeah, because I was lazy, hence why I'm in the wheelchair. I said that my house was very vast and I can't wall walk, which is what I used to do, and furniture walking. But at times I had my walking sticks, but I just couldn't be bothered. I don't want to fall down. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to scar up my legs. I've got a big thing for scars on my body, which is so ridiculous because I've got a boob job. But it's like, bloody hell, why didn't I just keep persisting with my exercise, with my walking? Someone else has jumped on. Who's that?
My name's Tom. I live in New York in the United States. I have relapsing remitting MS. I was diagnosed just over 4 years ago during the pandemic, so that was fun. And now I dedicate a large portion of my day to helping other people who live with MS to figure out solutions to the obstacles that they face in their lives. And I find that to be rewarding work, so I'm happy to do it.
Going back to not letting this hold me back.
That's right.
When I lost my job, my initial reaction and what other people said was, well, they can't just fire you because of your health conditions. And I said, well, they did. And I understand it. They're a business. They have to operate. And I wasn't able to do the work that I was doing previously because something worsened. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the MS. It may have been my heart. I had to have a loop recorder inserted beginning of this month. But I was having a lot of falls and pass out moments and something wasn't right. So I didn't let that hold me back still, which is why I started the daily pay business. Yes. And I have so many things planned right now between writing and other business ventures and seeing my kids, and it's so much life is happening, and I am able to position myself in a way to live it and enjoy it, whereas I haven't been living that way. I know I have to keep up with these doctors and keep up with treatments, but I'm not letting it hold me back.
I'm sure you are the lady that really doesn't take any disease modifying treatments.
Nope.
No. Yeah. So you're just going au natural. You know.
As much as I can.
Amen. Amen, babe.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a fan of pharmaceuticals for many reasons. But
Yeah.
Good.
Was that a decision you came to after being on disease modifier DMT, or did you just decide from the gate that you weren't gonna?
Decided from the gate, based on my previous experience with other pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
I'm not against all of them, but unless they're tried and true and have been for years and years and years, I'm not going to put something into my body.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Well, it's always the sort of it's the conundrum of it all, right? Because you get hit with the diagnosis, which is in and of itself just a traumatic event. I think we could all agree on that. And then there's some figuring out. There's a period of like, well, what is this? What is MS? How is my MS? What's a symptom? What's just life? Is it allergies or is it MS? Like a lot of those questions. And I would always urge anyone, if they're newly diagnosed, the first step they should take is no step. Just be with it for a minute, right? There's going to be a lot of pressure to get yourself on a medication, and I'm not suggesting to do it or not. But what's a couple days of sitting and doing some research, some independent research for yourself, and talking to yourself and having these discussions, saying what would be big picture best for me, and then making an educated decision based on that in allegiance with your healthcare team. I think that's a healthier approach than just starting a medication because the doctor told you to. Because some of those side effects are not great. I've experienced that myself, and I went through a long period of time dealing with side effects that were prohibiting me from living anything close to a good quality of life.
Right.
And that was time I could have been doing other things instead of feeling terrible about life. But that's why, I get pretty vocal about it, because I encourage everyone to just do what's best for them. And if you trust doctors, trust them. If you don't trust them. But trust yourself first and foremost.
Amen. Yeah. So, Tom,
Yes.
what is your diagnosis story then? Because we've heard from Jen, but I would like to know your diagnosis story, please.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. It was April of 2020. So it was right when the pandemic started. It was about a week into the quarantine section, the go home, don't go to work, buy a lot of toilet paper, that era of life.
Yes.
And I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and that's when I found out I had MS. So that was a rough week for me. There was a lot going on. And then I just had to learn about MS. It wasn't on my radar. It was something that was picked up. I had an MRI a couple weeks earlier for a disc in my neck, and the doctor saw the spots and said, I just want to investigate this. Don't worry. Yeah. You do have a herniated disc in your neck. That's not an issue, but,
right.
And sure enough, 6 weeks later, after a ton of blood work and spinal tap and all that, it was, they told me I had MS and then sent me home. But because it was COVID, I couldn't go back to any kind of normal routine in my life. It was literally go home and just sit there,
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the world's on fire and everyone's like freaking out, and it's just a chaotic period of time. And I was, it was rough. But they recommended I use, I start taking a medication. It wasn't the one they usually admittedly told me it's not the one we'd like to start people on, but because of COVID, we don't know how that's going to impact your immune system. So let's give it a go. And it worked. It slowed the progression of the disease. But again, the side effects were so debilitating that I almost gave up hope altogether, And And then about 2.5 years into that, I went to my neurologist and I said, look, I've made a decision. I'm stopping this medication. I don't care what happens, but I'm not taking this anymore. I think this is how I feel. There's a direct relationship to the side effects of this medication and not any of the other crazy stuff that happened in my life.
Right.
And she said, I agree with you. So that was it. And within a couple of weeks, all that yuck that I'd been living with for 2.5 years vanished. But did I suffer a relapse in that time? Yes, I did. Optic neuritis. I lost my vision. But I was still able to manage that better because I had the spark back inside me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what happened was I went through this pretty traumatic experience, and my light was getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer.
So your DMT, literally dampened your life, basically.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So the moment you stopped taking it, you got yourself back.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So do you take any other treatments now, or?
I do. I take a oral cladribine B-cell repleter, which I'm starting my second. It's a 2-year thing, and I'm starting my second-year cycle next week. So, the idea is that it kind of gets rid of all those goofy T and B cells that are doing their weirdness, and hopefully they replenish and they're a little better behaved. And if that's the case in about a year's time, if everything looks the way they look today, I won't have to take any more medication for MS.
Oh, really?
So that's a really liberating thing in my world. That'll give me a baseline of operation where I could at least be like, okay, I've been living with this that I know of for about 5 years. This is what my symptoms look like. If anything is above it, good day. If anything's below it, okay, something's up. But at least I have that baseline.
Yeah.
But the last 4 years, I've had no solid ground to stand on whatsoever.
Right.
You know, so it's a long process.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Wow. No, MS. Wow. No, it is a long process. What's the good, the bad, the ugly, and what's your triumphs? Because I would like to say that starting the business is a triumph. It's like two fingers to multiple sclerosis. I'm not having it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Tom, please enlighten us.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, the ugly part of it is it's the isolation that comes with it. You know, you could be in a room full of people and still feel absolutely alone in the journey of MS because we're let's face it, we're trying to figure things out on the fly, and it's fluctuating constantly, and it's difficult. It's difficult for me at least, to get my head wrapped around it sometimes, and then it's even more difficult to talk to somebody about it who has no experience in it.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the good, which is forums like this, where people who are virtual strangers get together to openly share their experiences to help each other and support each other and to encourage them to make those positive changes in their lives. So, yeah, you need the ugly to have the good. You know, when you look at it that way, it's balanced and it makes sense. So for me, I view MS as a completely neutral event in my life. It's neither good nor bad. It is, and it's my duty to figure it out. That's all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. MS is just that. It's just MS. You know, it is IS, you know.
What were your good, bad, and uglies?
Who? Mine?
Yeah, either of you, yeah.
Oh, my. Oh, my God. I thought I'd escaped that. Flipping hell. Right, the good is I'm still here. I'm still surviving. I still have fun and laughter and jokes, and even though I'm in the wheelchair, I still play my music, and I suppose. The bad is when I get really, really, I start feeling sorry for myself, basically, which is rightfully so. Even yesterday, my son and his mate is at my house, and in my eyes, they're not doing much. They're not doing anything. You lot are not cleaning up. You lot are not cooking. You lot are not. I'm spending my money to get the chicken for you to cook, and you're not doing it. And then I've got to throw it in the bin. So I was literally in tears yesterday for no reason, really and truly. And that to me is really bad of MS, really, because you don't know whether it's depression, anxiety. What do you want? You know, and it's almost that. What do you want from me? And why ain't you giving me something to work with, MS? Why are you not giving me something to work with? Why are you just taking from me? So my energy zap is gone. You know, my mental zap is gone. So yesterday, the good, the bad, the ugly. The good is I'm still running my business, my spiritual business. You know, I've got quite a lot of friends in the spiritual world. My best friend, like I said, is Natalie in New Jersey. So I've still kept that connection, but the bad is really bad when it really needs to be. And I don't like it. I don't like it because I cannot process what's happening.
Yeah.
Almost like, so even if I'm in a room and I've got, say like my mum's house, you know, I've got 6 other siblings. So we all go to mum's, say Christmas, we all go to mum's. And if one person's talking to me and then the next person comes in from that side and talks to me and then the next one, I cannot, it makes me lose my rag. I literally, I get very angry because I cannot focus on all of you. Do you know what I mean? And I cannot separate you from you, from you, from you, and prioritize what's more urgent, what's more important in comparison to, okay, you could go on the back burner a second and I will get back to you. I can't do that. I can't do that, you see. So it's terrible. It's terrible.
But I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that. But I would also just ask, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here for a moment.
Oh, this is the second time you've done that to me.
I do this all the time, I know. What isn't that sort of like you asked what MS, what are you giving me to work with? And then you explain how it's like difficult for you to parse out what's important. So isn't that maybe what it's trying to show you, is that you need you must, it's a requirement for you to put an emphasis on your own self-care and say, okay, people in the room, stop. I can't do 5 conversations at one time.
Absolutely.
You know, you speak it out loud and then say, if you guys don't understand that, I'm just going to remove myself from the situation because it's too crazy. I can't deal with this, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the bigger picture, you know?
That is the bigger picture. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, that goes against me, Kathleen, because Kathleen is always in the middle of everything, just creating a flipping mess. I like to be involved in every single thing. And that involvement overwhelms me now. Do you know what I mean? It overwhelms me, you know, but I will still want to be there, want to place myself in the middle. And that's probably because I
I come from a big family, like I said. My mum and dad had 7 of us. You know, I'm the second eldest. And I like to be in the middle of everything. I like to feel needed. I like to feel loved. I like to feel warmth, compassion. I like to feel closeness. Do you know what I mean? So I like to feel that. And if I don't feel that, so right now I live far away from my mum's house now. You know, my niece comes to see me once a week, but even though I've got my 2 children in the house, so sometimes you've got to count your blessings, Babs. That's all I can say. Count my blessings. I'm not alone, even though I feel like I'm alone. I'm not alone. My son and my daughter are in my house. My niece is here. You know, my mum comes once a week. So I'm not alone, but I still feel alone. I'm single. I'm single. Maybe it's that, you know, and my disability and my MS was never a thing. Never a thing. You know, he was like a fireman because he used to pick me up like a fireman's left and carry me up the stairs. And stairs was nothing to me. Now that I don't have him, I'm like, oh my God, what has stairs? Is that place, is that venue good for me? Has it got a toilet? Has it got stairs? You know? So, yeah. And that's the thing with MS. You know, it's almost like you have to stumble upon the answer, or you sit inside yourself, meditate, speak to God, and you will get your answer. Yeah,
I do a lot of that.
yeah,
good.
And my faith and my church family has been amazing since the time of diagnosis down to now. So
yeah.
Jen, when were you diagnosed, if you don't mind me asking?
In 2020 also.
Oh, really?
Same year with you, yeah.
End of 2020, but still pandemic time.
So you had pandemic first, and then just as that was kind of to get normalized.
I mean, this was just to keep things interesting.
Yeah. What a year. What a year that was.
Yeah, 2020 will forever be a memory. So somehow I never got COVID, which I'm grateful for that.
Oh, wow.
Knock on wood, but yeah.
Well, you had enough to deal with. They took it easy on you. Yeah. What a year. Wow. I feel bad because whenever I'm asked, like, Tom, what's your MS story? It is a COVID/MS story. Like, I can't parse those 2 events out. They're the same thing. Like, it was a week apart. It was the worst week I ever had. So I can't tell the MS story without telling, like, the background, which was the beginning of COVID. And it makes for a very rich and very in-depth, environment for me to, like, share my story, which I kind of really appreciate, honestly, because it's another layer to it that really pulls people in. And, I'm not trying to talk about my woes and but I do utilize that to share this message I'm trying to put out into the world. That's like, look, I went through a shit storm. I mean, I got flushed down the toilet and burped right back out, and life was not. Life was not kind to me.
Yeah.
But I survived it because I boiled it down to the bare essentials. It is what it is. I can't do anything about it. It's here. What am I going to do about the situation? I could either wallow in this, and I know where that's going to take me, and I don't want to go there. So I might as well just figure out a way to make this to work to my advantage somehow. I don't know what that looks like, but somehow, right? So every day I woke up and I was just like, what can I do today that's going to help me make progress towards a more positive goal?
Wow.
Right? I don't have to climb the entire mountain in a day. I just need to get a foot up, And so I spent all that time in quarantine just working at looking at my life, writing stuff down, organizing everything. What needs to be, what's on fire right now and what's smoldering, what's a back burner thing, and what's that one that's right in the front to your right? Because that's your favorite burner. You know it. We all have it.
Yeah.
Like, what pot is boiling over today? That just for me became my normal. Was like, I wake up. Thank you. I'm glad I'm here. What challenges do I have to face today? How can I organize my life? It's not going to look the same way it was before 2020, but maybe it'll look better. I don't know. There's no guarantee it won't look better. So the power of making it better for me and for people like me is there. It starts with making that choice that this is going to be a good thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Amazing. No, for real. Because it's a mirage of playing fields for me. To be fair, if I keep it real, apart from me being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, my diagnosis story, my youngest daughter, I was pregnant with her, but I didn't know I was pregnant.
Ooh.
So I had to they couldn't put the lumbar puncture and all the testing that you get tested until I gave birth. So it put me back a whole year anyway. And for me, MS, even though it's serious, to me it is like a game. It's like a game with the universe. And that's the way I look at life as well. So how bad do you want to be? I'm not even going to say healed, but how bad do you want to enjoy your life? Then go ahead, go and enjoy your life. It doesn't matter where you are, where you stand, where you're placed, you see? And I just look at it like a game. I don't take life full stop serious at all.
Amen.
At all. Do you want to talk about the stages of grief? You can approach all stages several times over. And you're not going to, it doesn't go in a linear kind of fashion either. So it's not anger to depression to denial no, it goes to anger to anger to anger to depression. It just stays the same. I can't even explain it, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I feel like grief never really leaves you.
No.
But if you can understand it, whatever that it is within you, the more you could become acquainted with it and be able to sit with it and listen to it, because it's trying to teach you something. It doesn't go away, but just like MS, it's a good metaphor for just MS in general. Like, you just learn to adapt and live with it, and it loses its power over time.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't go away. It kicks and screams. It doesn't want to leave, but you just learn to live with it a little bit every day. And that's all we can ask of ourselves,
That's it. Exactly.
I've had people approach me, and I'm very good at blocking out people who aren't good for me right now, or period. From this point forward, I'm not. I'm going to let certain people talk to me a certain way. But I've had people approach me. It's almost like they expect me to be bound to the bed and, helpless. And I'm not that person. I will never be that person. Everything in my life that has been a challenge, I've somehow overcome. And I know from experience, I can't wallow in self-pity because that's a really, really dark place for me. I mean, dark. And I want to rise above and conquer whatever it is. I mean, any aspect of my life. I know 2017, 2018, my husband left me for a stripper. Knocked me down. I got back up. I take everything at this point with a grain of salt.
That's right.
Life has given me a whole lot of lemons. I've made a ton of lemonade. And I'm stronger for it. My kids love me all the more for it. So I'm here another day.
And that is, do you know what, Jen? That is the ultimate MS warrior. You are literally the ultimate MS warrior. Oh my God. Amazing. Yeah.
Jen, do you? I know I jumped in a little late, but you said you had a business. Do you work with like telling your MS story? Is it rooted in that at all?
It is, in the sense that my quote unquote perfect customer is someone who is chronically disabled, who has been forced out of the normal 9-to-5 rat race, and need to find alternative ways to work. I've been looking for remote work from home for a long time. Got scammed a lot, got a bunch of BS text messages, emails before I found the business that I have now, which is just digital marketing. And then I'm using that digital marketing business to put my own work out there as a writer basically. And then my boyfriend has a legal consultation business that he's trying to get out there too.
That's
One of the one of the elders in my church was wheelchair bound. He had MS. I knew that about him when I went to this ministry center. Again, didn't know a lot about MS. So when I got this diagnosis, I'm like, oh my goodness, I was drawn to this man, his story. And I'm a storyteller. Like, I'm a writer. I've been a writer my entire life.
Yes.
And so I wanted to know more about his story. And he went from working up on roofs, on houses, building houses his entire life, and loving the Lord, to wheelchair bound, and he still would manage to get up and sing in church on Sundays, and he's just such an inspiration for me. But my kids automatically assumed that mommy would end up in a wheelchair, because Mr. Mike was in a wheelchair. And so telling them, they were ages 7 and 8 at the time, trying to make them understand as a child, especially at that age when their minds are still developing. I go to books for everything. So I found a book for kids about mommy having MS. And it was, I think, giraffes in the book or something.
Great.
And the other book that I read personally when I was first diagnosed, I think I told you about it.
By Meg.
Meg Llewellyn.
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Segue into my new life. And Meg, I've talked to her. I stay connected to her actually through Instagram. And she runs a retreat out in Washington called Camp Sunshine 420. And she is a huge proponent of or advocate for medical marijuana. Yes.
Oh my God.
Awesome person to do it. Awesome person. I can talk. Awesome person to talk to. The F word is her favorite word.
This is my kind of people. I love it.
I have to be in a really bad mood to be using the F word.
Oh my God.
I remember once, I was years ago, this was even pre-diagnosis, but I was in with my therapist, and I was obviously upset about something was happening in my life, and I was F-bombing. I was just dropping them, and I realized this woman's like in her 70s, lovely woman, and I'm sitting there like swearing like a sailor in front of her, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, what are you sorry about? And I was like, well, I'm using vulgar language. She was like, she's like, that's you expressing what's happening. So if you need to say like swear, like to mask that down, because it's impolite language, is to mask down your own emotional state. It's putting yourself in a box, but on the other hand, I have a friend who just like, instead of saying or ah, he just says, fuck it. It's like a pause word for him. And he says it like 30 times in one sentence. And I'm like, you gotta just stop.
Got it. Yeah.
Balance. It's about balance, everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Right.
Just my opinion.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Right. So plug away, people. Plug away.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're interested in hearing this soothing voice in a podcast session where I talk about my experience of living with MS, but it's really about life. It's about the changes in life and the different ways I sort of see the world as an artist and through my own creative lens. And I try to do something good in every episode, and maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I have a lot of fun with it, and it seems to help people when they hear it. So if anyone's interested in learning more about how we can think our ways into better situations in life, it's called ThinkBetter with MS, and it's available on all streaming platforms. You'll find it.
My business is a digital marketing business where I help those who are chronically disabled or anyone who wants to exit the 9-to-5 rat race. Promotes e-learning products, and I have an awesome community, the digital growth community, that is super supportive, and a mentor who has made $1 million in 17 months. That's her story. And I love helping other people, and the whole community is all about helping. It's not an MLM or anything like that. It's all 100% profits. And it's just nothing but positivity, like truly positive people. And it's a super protective community that I'm in. So
awesome.
That's amazing. Awesome. Thank you. That was amazing. Of course. Yeah. And I'm very intrigued, actually, literally, because I don't work. I'm on DLA, which is Disability Living Allowance.
I've tried once, got denied. I need to try again, but I'm struggling getting the right information from my doctors.
Yeah.
But I'm to a point too where I don't want to keep fighting with it. And if I can work, even if it's doing just remote work, I'm going to. Especially knowing, like, if I were to show you some of the numbers that people in my community are bringing in, they're making astronomical amounts of money.
Yeah. Yes.
I do a lot of volunteer work with my local MS community, well, actually the national community. I have started a number of peer support groups, and I actually work on like a one-on-one mentoring kind of like for the newly diagnosed. So I'm out there a lot talking with people, doing public speaking events on behalf of the MS community.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Great to meet you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yes. So we are about to get into the card reading. Now, usually we do past, present, and future, but because today is the day before the new moon, yes, we are only just doing one card. And listen carefully, people. Yeah, the new moon in Taurus is about abundance and prosperity.
This card will often come up when you're inquiring a financial matter or when you're doubting your self-worth. The card suggests you can have what you want, including material things, but you must believe in yourself. This comes down to the laws of attraction. Value yourself and others will value you too. You can create abundance. Taurus is associated with luxurious Venus, and this card holds the new moon energy. So now is a good time to make a 12-month financial plan. This card can also signal the start of a new relationship or of sexier times. If you've been wrestling with something for a long time, the new moon in sturdy Taurus is a sign not to give up just yet. Attune to the moon. Get or give a massage. Healthy body, healthy mind. Additional meanings for this card. You will soon be able to afford the thing you're dreaming of. Getting clear on what you value most will help you find peace. Take some time out to pamper yourself. Start a standing order to save a savings account, no matter how small. The teaching. We often feel that it's somehow wrong to focus on our finances, but the truth is that money can make life far more comfortable. from a physical point of view. Taurus knows this, and the new moon is in Taurus is the time you work your magic to create money you want so you can have the creature comforts you want. Remember, though, that someone else is still wishing for what you already have.
Amen. So show gratitude. That's what it's saying. Be grateful for what you have, because there are people out there that would wish to be in the same situation that you find yourself in. Yes? So be grateful. But please make it happen. So, like they said, people are still wishing for what you already have. Yeah. So it's a good thing to be grateful. Yeah. Accept what you have, appreciate what you have, because then you will be given more, you see. So please, please, please show gratitude for what you have and what is to come. Mwah.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Shifting the MS Mindset. If you liked what you heard, then be sure to hit like and subscribe. Until next time, remember, we are in control of our destiny. Let's stick together and feel empowered, always. You got this.